Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm Eric Hayden with the National Weather Service in Newport. It's just about 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started with our balloon launch. We actually do these weather balloon launches twice a day, and these are done all over the world at the same time. We cannot launch them any earlier than 7 o'clock, so that's why we're going to get started now. And you can see it's a fantastic evening across the area. Not a cloud in the sky. There's our Doppler radar. So a really nice evening. The only time we can't do a balloon launch is if there's lightning in the area. So don't have to worry about that tonight. If we have heavy rain, we still do the balloon launch, snow, even gusty winds. If we have a thunderstorm or lightning or a reason that we can't do the balloon launch, we'll pause and we have an hour-and-a-half window to do it. So tonight, no worries with that. This is our balloon itself. You can see it's big, about an arm's length across. It gets to be as large as a small car as it goes up into the sky, so it actually expands as it gets higher up. Right now we're using hydrogen gas to launch this balloon. We do have helium as a backup, but since it's a non-renewable resource, we are using hydrogen. In fact, we're going to be a test office coming up in the next year generating our own hydrogen. Today we put in 1,500 grams of hydrogen. That might not mean a lot to you at home, but we add more gas if there's bad weather. So 1,500 is kind of the baseline for doing it. We may add a couple hundred if it's raining, if there's snow or ice, something of that nature, because it's going to be harder for the balloon to go up itself. Now the balloon is in the building. I'm getting ready to launch, but if you follow the driveway down, you can kind of see it dangling. This is called the radiosonde. This is actually what we send up into the sky to do our measurements. We're talking measurements of temperature, wind speed, humidity, and pressure. So this little thing right here, it's called a radiosonde, goes up into the sky. The silver part is actually the temperature and the humidity measurement. The thing on top is how we track it via GPS. So we don't have an anemometer on it, we don't have a wind vane on it, but we track it via GPS, and that's how we measure the actual wind speed. So since it's after 7 o'clock, we're going to get ahead and get started with the launch itself. The launch takes about an hour and a half, and what I mean by that, as soon as we let go of the balloon, it takes about an hour and a half to reach around 110,000 feet. So it gets way up there. The flight may terminate a little bit early if there's bad weather, but we should have a good flight tonight. And like I said, an hour and a half for the flight itself, so by about 8:30, we'll be finished collecting the data, and that includes temperature, humidity, pressure, and wind speed as it goes up. So I'm going to unplug now. I'm going to rest the tripod and allow you to look. We'll get started with this balloon launch here in just a couple minutes. Should take about 2 minutes for launch, and then we will talk to you here in a few. All right, special thanks to Casey for helping me out. I definitely could not do this as a one-person crew. So you can see the balloon launching there. Goes up very, very fast. We mentioned that it takes about an hour and a half. It's fading out a little bit. That's just losing the focus of the camera. To the naked eye, you can see that pretty clearly. Just for reference, you can see the radar dome on the lower right, and then you can still see that weather balloon there. So with a clear blue sky like tonight, to the naked eye, we can see this quite for a long time. We get a couple questions. We had a good question from Justin. I found a private weather balloon a couple years ago. With this one, there's actually a bag in it that if you find it, you can actually mail it back to us and we can reuse it. Most of ours do not end up near our area. Jet stream winds carry it far away. Occasionally in the past, in the summer, when winds are very, very light in the atmosphere, they can land within 10 miles of us, which is actually pretty close. For those just joining us, the lower right is the Doppler radar. The upper left, you can just barely see it, is actually the weather balloon. And again, to the naked eye, very, very clear. The iPad's losing a little bit of focus because it's at such a far distance right now. This is something new we're trying at a bunch of National Weather Service offices across the country. What I mean by that is Facebook Live. We're trying different things, seeing what works. If there's different things you'd be interested in seeing from the office, let us know, because this is certainly a test. Some of it's technology. Is our audio good, visual, and then some of it is ideas in terms of how to look. I see a bunch of people are logging on now. We're up to the most views we've had this evening. This video will stay on Facebook, so if you miss the start of the launch, we'll post it as soon as this is done, and you can just hit rewind and actually see it. And also we'll put it on YouTube. If everything works out, it'll be youtube.com, and then just do a /NWS for National Weather Service, Morehead City. So again, if you're just joining us, lower right is the Doppler radar. If you can just barely see, especially if you have a PC, you might be able to see it in the upper left-hand corner. You can just barely see the upper air balloon. We do these balloon launches all over the world, twice a day, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. If we have a good idea of the atmosphere above us, it helps us with the accuracy of the forecast. And to show you the importance of these weather balloon launches, during Florence and during the winter storm we had a couple years ago, we actually increased the launches to 4 times a day. So again, you can, if you see in the upper left, you can see the balloon itself and the Doppler radar on the far lower right. Justin said thanks. He's actually watching from the lower eastern shore of Maryland, which is pretty cool. And he knows his backup office, or his primary office, is AKQ. So Justin, you must be a pretty avid weather person. That stands for the Wakefield or Richmond office. They cover the lower Delmarva, southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina, the Maryland beaches. So they have a large section of the area. So really appreciate everybody joining us. It's kind of hard to see now, so we'll camera around. Appreciate everybody joining us in terms of this Facebook Live. Please give us some comments about this. Let us know what things you'd like to see. If you just joined us, Eric from the Weather Service, we did our evening balloon launch at 7 o'clock. You can still check it out. And if you go to our YouTube page or scroll back on Facebook, we did a longer version, which was about 50 minutes in length. We're kind of testing the different lengths to see what you like better, short or long. So appreciate everybody joining us, and we will see you soon.